Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the next chapter in my story. This is a scattered telling of our first winter living in our newly rebuilt caravan in a magic valley of the Rocky Mountains. If you're new here, my name is Gabrielle, and over a year and a half ago, along with my partner Noel, we took a leap of faith and left our beautiful life in the country. We put everything into storage and jumped into full-time travel via road life, where we traveled across the continent, seeking nature, seeking a completely different view of the world, as well as all of the inner personal growth that we knew an adventure like this would bring about. It was an incredible and life-changing experience. If you're interested in that part of my story, here's a link to all of the videos from that adventure. Then, back in October of last year, our adventure changed. We were ready for our next step in life, and we decided to take a break from full-time travel in order to pursue the many other experiences and skills we're passionate to learn in this lifetime. So, after finding the amazing opportunity to be able to move onto a friend's land nestled in a gorgeous mountain valley, we decided to buy a 1970s camper trailer.
Oh my god, it's happening! I'm driving the big truck!
To renovate and live in, having no prior building experience whatsoever. And that's what started our tiny home journey, which ended up being much more of a wild and unexpected adventure than we expected, of course. For example, it started off with several of the walls of the caravan collapsing while we were transporting it, right after we bought it. But we rallied, and I made a whole series about our journey that I'll link here too. And that leads us to now.
Not expected. We knew that there was going to be a windstorm.
1, 2. She's like, oh no, Mom. He's snowy. I guess I'll go under here.
When I was little, one of my favorite books was a book called Wait Until the Moon is Full, and it's about this little raccoon who wants to go and play outside, and their mother is always telling them, wait until the moon is full. It's ultimately a story about right timing, and it's amazing how frequently I still use that phrase as an adult as a sort of mantra of remembering how essential right timing is in collaboration with aligned action. As I shared before, I had no intention of taking the kind of break that I ended up needing to take from filming over the cold months after we moved into the cottage, but now I can see how everything came together to make space for what needed to be. It was the combination of realizing that I had over 11 videos worth, or 11 weeks of videos if I posted once a week, of footage to share from the build series, that I realized that if I kept up with filming during the winter, while I was editing that I would have so much backlogged footage that I would just then be months and months behind in my story timeline, and that just didn't feel right. But it was also the recognition that during this time, I found myself going through a bit of an internal death and reconstruction phase, creatively and personally. You know, one of the biggest lessons of making these videos for me is about it's actually a tool for me to do a lot of work to find more space to be more fully myself. You know, at one point I went back and watched a lot of my earlier videos, and I could just sense where it was that I was emulating someone or something that I felt like was safer to share or emulate than it was to be myself. And I felt a lot of compassion for that part of me. I think that's actually a really important part in the process of becoming ourselves sometimes, is that we find bits and parts of ourselves in emulating others. And so this winter, I found myself unraveling a lot of what that is about for me. I'm realizing that the degree to which I feel comfortable being myself, being seen, feeling like I'm enough, and sharing my work with the world is directly related to the amount of shame that I'm still carrying from the past. In other words, if I'm still carrying internalized shame or judgment about myself from the past, it makes it very hard for us to feel safe enough to be ourselves, to be seen in the present. But also, it makes it very hard for anything that we create to feel good enough. And I feel like this winter, I took another step in diving into how all of that manifests in my own life, my art, and my filmmaking. And so that's why I didn't film a lot this winter. But I still wanted to share a lot of the moments that I did capture.
Oh, okay, that changes everything.
Early in the winter, my best friend Hannah, who is also now our neighbor, her sibling came for a visit, and it was the perfect excuse to get to be a tourist in the area that is now our home. And it made me realize just how many amazing things are around us that we still have yet to explore. And after weeks and weeks of working so hard on the caravan and then just jumping into editing, it just felt really nice to spend some time with them, have fun, and such a different pace of life. Moving into the cottage wasn't, let's say, necessarily super smooth. Over the winter, we definitely dealt with our fair share of issues.
Where's that coming?
From inside the frame.
Like after the first snow, we discovered a leak in the window frame. Luckily, it was a very simple fix with some flex tape.
Hey, Bubba. Hey, buddy. You're just so chill. Bubba's got nothing to worry about. Whoa. Oh, camera shy. Yeah, what we did along the back for the winter is we put this flex tape to prevent exactly that. I don't know why we didn't think about doing that in the front.
Step up here. You can see.
Oh shoot, yeah, like right here. Can like almost fit a finger back there. It's so tiny.
But then we had a few other issues right after that.
Yeah, is it snowing? Lil's outside. She is seemingly very happy out in the snow. Well, but of course, it's beautiful winter wonderland that we woke up to today. And our brand new little handheld chainsaw that we've been using to cut our firewood for our tiny wood stove, it actually lit on fire. Just a metaphor for life these days. Our door broke. The little tiny piece of metal that holds the door latch completely came off. And now there's literally no way to keep the door closed. Noel came up with this hysterical idea of using a piece of string attached to the door, and then we would thread it up. There's a screw up here, and we were threading it through and like pulling it closed so that, and wrapping it up here. So we're really excited because the new one just came, and we're going to install it today. Can you show me your screwdriver? It's so tiny. So yesterday we were sitting here and we noticed a few drops of water coming from this seam right here on the roof. This is where the leak, where we saw some water coming.
One issue that we had is that we discovered a few cold spots, specifically on the roof, which at first we thought were leaks, but we discovered were spots where there wasn't enough insulation, and so the hot air inside was hitting the cold metal of the roof, which was causing a buildup of precipitation to accumulate. We still don't really know how to address this issue because it would mean having to rip out a section of the ceiling that's hard to remove, but at some point we'll have to figure it out. And last but not least, we had an electrical issue, which we now fully understand why it happened and have made the changes necessary so it doesn't happen again, but it was scary when it happened.
So the lights went out. We had the little space heater on because it's not cold enough to need a full fire, and we're also like getting super duper low on our wood supply. Lights started flickering and then everything turned off, and immediately went and could smell burning plastic. We came out here. We had this connected, and that was the problem. It completely melted. But the good news is, found another extension cord and everything works just fine. Yeah, I immediately assumed that our whole system got blown. I cannot describe the feeling that went through my whole body and my chest and my stomach. That was horrible. The reason why we're in candlelight right now is not to be dramatic. It's just the extension cord belongs to a friend of ours and we didn't really ask permission to use it. We just...
10:30 at night.
Because it's 10:30 at night, but we knew where one was and we used it just to see real quick if... But they're good friends of ours. It's not like... But we don't want to use it without their permission, and plus we just need to buy a new one. So we're gonna go tomorrow morning. If any of the stores are open, it's a national holiday tomorrow, so. All right, well, at least it's not broken.
Yeah.
Who was sent to the ring? Exactly. And who are they to be? That seems to me what this council has to decide, and all that it has to. But he saw amid the water white riders upon white horses. It is the morning of October the 24th, if you want to know.
I went from one of the most strenuous times of my life right into the arms of winter, and I could not have felt more supported and held by the earth, the season, and the atmosphere. Both Noel and I fully embraced the cocoon of winter, and we just dove into cozy and restful projects. We listened to Lord of the Rings on audiobook, we read a bunch of books, and while I edited away, Noel even learned how to knit. He actually got the idea to recycle a very nice wool sweater that I was about to give away so that he could reuse the yarn. And then, with the help of a few YouTube videos, he taught himself to knit.
The black horses, very thin, and the fair, said Frodo with a last effort, as madness in putting on the ring in the dell under Weathertop. While he was thinking of all these things, behind drew back in dismay. With his last fading to their land between the mountains and Mirkwood, neither hawk nor wolf dared to go. Indeed, said
Just
Frodo,
focus.
if it were not for the fjordings, the passage from Dale to River
we are in the country, we do not have fast internet. So whenever I want to upload a video, I have to drive to one of the nearest towns to the local library to upload my videos, which this winter meant sometimes driving in big snowstorms at night. But I really wanted to make sure I upheld my promise to post a video consistently.
It's exporting now. Heading to the library. Okay, time to drive back home. Oh, Papa, it looks great. You're so handsome. Papa. Oh, he looks so proud. Oh, are you kidding me? Look at you. You got a little scarf. You got a little scarf, Bubs. It goes with your sweater.
I can stay nice and cozy.
Oh, yeah,
I
Bubba.
want to get the whiskers though.
Bubba doesn't like to be cold. Yeah. Oh, sweet boy. Leo, what do you think of Bubba's scarf? It's so funny. He didn't even take it off.
Nope.
Oh, what are you doing?
It's so hard to take off the gloves that I'm just...
Are you turning on music?
I have finished most of my on the road donut.
Around the holidays, Noel went to spend some time with his family across the country. And since we couldn't find a cat sitter for that time, I stayed back with the cats.
Well, I just dropped Noel off at the airport. And since I'm in the biggest town that is close to where we live, I decided I'm gonna go to a thrift store and maybe run some errands to get some things for our little caravan. Gotta hydrate for thrifting. I have a little list of things that I need. Here we go. Wait. Here we go. Okay. Jeez. Well, I didn't end up getting anything. I found some tiles that might work to go underneath on the floor of the little wood stove. We've had just a few, like maybe 1 or 2 moments where a really hot coal has fallen out of the wood stove and onto the floor. We just scrambled to, so it doesn't burn the wood on the floor. So there was 2 options. There were these little squares that were about like that big. And then they also had these tiles that were quite large, like that big. I mean, the truth is, all of it together would probably be like $5. Maybe I should just get both. This is not worth it. This is literally gonna be like $7. We'll I'm scrappy. I can find ways. Okay, we're going back. I don't know what just happened. I swear, when I come into cities, it's like my system doesn't always know how to operate. What just happened? So I had to return something. That was the only thing that I needed to do. And I also really have to go to the bathroom. Made the return, no problem. Went and checked on the bathroom and it said that it was closed for cleaning. So I was like, okay. Is there anything that I need? And I was like, oh, I need light bulbs. So then I proceed to search every corner of this store for like it took me like 15, 20 minutes just to find the light bulbs. This really sweet 70-year-old woman, it comes up to me and she's like, do you know where the lamps are? I have been looking for the lamps for like 20 minutes. And I'm like, I wish I could help you, but I'm also not from here. I don't know where the lamps are. She's like, me too. I just moved here too. She's like, where did you move from? And then I don't know what happened. I think I had a stroke. Because I looked at this woman and I said, Maine. I've been to Maine one time. Why did I say Maine? Why did I say Maine? Why? There's no reason that I told this person, this really lovely woman, I'm from Maine. Maine. And then she looks at me and she says, oh my God, me too. Where are you from in Maine? I was like, and then, so the only place I've ever been to Maine is Kennebunkport, Maine. So where did I say I was from? I said, I'm from Kennebunkport. Kennebunkport, Maine. Kennebunkport, Maine. Kennebunkport, Maine. What happened? I mean, I am kind of a socially awkward person, so it kind of makes sense, but it's like, there was no social pressure in that moment. There was no need to lie about where I'm from. You know, maybe it was that my brain just was like, okay, well, I've been on the road for a year. How do I explain to the 70-year-old person who may or may not understand that? But the first thing that I think, Maine. And then she was like, oh, but I had to leave there because I could never see where I was with all the trees. And then I was like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I'm from New Mexico. I always have to be able to see where I am. She was like,
oh my God, me too. I lived in New Mexico for 20 years. I lived in Los Alamos.
where in New Mexico are you from? So anyway, I proceed to have this really lovely but very strange, I was strange in that conversation. For like a 15-minute conversation with this lady. I'm from Kennebunkport, Maine. Maine. Does anybody else do this? I don't know what happened. Still haven't gotten to the light bulbs. So then I go to the light bulbs and I'm looking for halogen light bulbs. I prefer halogen light bulbs over LEDs. I know LEDs are better, blah, 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 but I prefer halogen. But this store has absolutely no halogen light bulbs, but it took me another 15 or 20 minutes of staring at every single light bulb looking for halogen light bulbs. And so they don't have halogen light bulbs. So I'm flustered. I'm feeling like a wacko. So then I just leave. I go back to the car. What happens? I get to the car. I realize I have to go to the bathroom still. And so I sit here for like 5 minutes, like, do I go back? And then I'm like, yeah, I really have to go. So what do? I get out of the car, I go back in the store, and what is happening? Well, the bathrooms are still closed for cleaning. So I have now been here for 45 minutes, and I just needed to return something. And I feel guilty now for lying. Kennebunkport, Maine? And I still have to go to the bathroom. I don't know what to do. Okay. Option number 1. You could also... It's cute. Okay. And I definitely need to put something down so that it doesn't scratch the floor. Okay. That looks so weird.
Get it, Bubs?
spot, Bubby?
Good morning. I'm just having a nice slow morning this morning and just reflecting on, wow, this has been our first winter. Oh, Lil, I'm just so excited to go outside and explore. She's my little teddy bear cat. We're gonna go outside soon. It's not time yet. But yeah, it's just amazing to reflect on, like, you know, this is our first winter in the caravan, and specifically to think about how pretty much the entire time that we were renovating and working on this, and even when we were deciding to buy the caravan, like, we had no idea. You know, this is an old 1970s caravan. It's not, you know, rated for 4 seasons, and the guy that owned it before us did a really crappy job in the insulation, and so we didn't know if we were going to be warm enough. I think I mentioned this once, but one of my biggest fears was that we were going to move in and it was going to be too cold even with the stove. I'm very happy to say we are definitely warm enough. This little precious thing that only takes it can only fit logs that are 6 inches, cranks an amazing amount of heat. It sometimes it gets too hot, which is great because it's just so cozy, and I'm somebody that likes, like, very, very warm. Like, I like it really, really warm. So that's been really, really nice. Although I will say it does not retain heat very well. And so Noel and I have actually changed pretty much our whole schedule to kind of center around making sure that we can keep the fire going. It has been, I don't even know. I've had a wood stove before. We had a wood stove in our other house, but the house also had, you know, radiant floor heat, and so the wood stove was our main source of heat. And there is something so powerful and so magical about having, like, a hearth that you constantly have to tend, and having a relationship with your environment and your warmth that is, I don't know, just in this way. It's a lot of work, but I feel very nourished by it. The process of building a fire feels like ceremony, feels like ritual, and then just tending to the fire, it's just, I love it. And that kind of leads me into, you know, what life has been like here. It's such a preciously simple life, but it's so, I can just feel my whole system decompressing from literally years and years of all kinds of different things. But it's the simplicity that is allowing for that decompression and allowing for the healing. I have heard from locals that it has been a relatively mild winter, which, you know, we're really, really grateful for in one sense. And in another, you know, it does make me, like, a little bit concerned about perhaps future winters in here. And so, you know, I feel really grateful that we've had a mild winter, but I'm also like, oh my gosh, I'm already thinking about next winter. This winter, I'm really struggling to find a way to connect with nature. In the past, it's all about, you know, going out in it. And I think because of how burnt out I've been, and also my nervous system going through a big, like I've really had to focus on healing my nervous system. I just haven't had the capacity to deal with the cold. You know, it's like there has to be a level of resiliency to meet the cold. And I just don't have it right now. I'm really missing like really being outside, and just I feel very disconnected from a lot of my normal ritual, like kind of my normal seasonal rituals. But it's, you know, that's understandable. It's gonna take some time. I mean, after being on the go for over a year, you know, like coming back down to earth and like really having a rhythm and relationship to the land and the seasonal cycles again is gonna be, it's a process. It's a process. In terms of living in this space, I could not be more happy. I'm so happy. It is a very tiny space, and Noel and I have definitely, you know, had to navigate finding ways to have the space that we need. But it's perfect. I mean, it's still super bare bones. Like, we haven't done any of really the build out on the inside. Lil's taking a nap. We did need, you know, like a little place to sit, but you know, other than that, we haven't really built anything. But I'm so grateful that we're having a chance to live in the space before we start those projects in the warmer months, because there's been quite a few things that we had all of these ideas when we were doing the build and we were so excited about them, and now that we're in the space, it's like, wait, you know, like I don't know how that would work. But yeah, what a life, you know? What a life. And there is something about being here that you just feel so much closer to nature because nature is so close. You know, it's like every day we're very connected to the weather, and you know, just I don't know, it's weird. It's no different than like a little house, but there's something about it that, yeah, you just feel a lot closer to nature. And the cats are so happy. Bubba has developed an incredible love for the wood stove. His favorite place to sit is like right here. We'll move this, and he just sits there and is like soaking in the heat. You know, there's so much about this valley that we still have to learn that I think we will dive into in the warmer months. Right now, it's very much just about landing and resting and being cozy.
Thank you so much for watching. Wherever you are in the world, I hope that whatever season you are in, that you can find the ways in which nature and the season's atmosphere can support you and hold you. I'll see you next week. Sending you my love.